You're listening to the Limitless Broadcasting Network.
Your whole life can change in an instant. About 50 million adults in the United States have chronic pain, and because of a car accident, Robby is one of them. In their marriage vows, Robby and Sammi promise to stand by one another and provide strength when needed. And lately, they've been facing some of their biggest challenges. Join them as they share the ups and downs of living with chronic pain.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. This is Robert with The Painful Truth of Living with Chronic Pain.
And Sammi.
And today we are joined with a very special guest, Dr. Teitelbaum, MD. And we're going to be talking about his book, From Fatigue to Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just one of many books.
Exactly.
He has. You're a board certified MD.
Mm-hmm. Internal medicine. That was from before they had pain management. So I trained a lot of the pain specialists.
All right.
Cool.
So before we get into all that, let's start in your early beginnings. Why did you want to go into medicine? Who are you? All of that good stuff.
That's a nice Jewish doctor like you're doing in the field, like chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and pain management. Yeah, I've gotten that question. When I was a kid, I was pretty empathic. And it was a challenge because my mom had been in Auschwitz. Most of my family had been in Auschwitz, and most of my family had died in the camps.
Oh, wow. Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear that. My condolences.
It was, that's funny. If you look at the blessing in the Bible that God gives to Jewish people, it's that there will be a blessings to all the nations of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
We're like an instrument that's picked up when it's needed. Mm-hmm. And when that instrument is picked up, you're going to get uprooted and taken where you need to go. I would still be living in a small town, Hasidic community in Eastern Europe with the Becker and Streimel, the Hasidic hat and the robes that, because it was a Hasidic family I was in, had the universe, had God not picked us up and moved us to do other things. So, yes, the Holocaust was horrible.
Yeah.
No, it's not a matter of victimization. And for those of you, one of the things you may have time to look at today is as long as we are feeling like victims, we're powerless. We're not victims. We're going through horrible things. So I learned being very empathic in a community that was full of pain, because about half the community had been survivors of the camps. I wanted to be able to hide and just heal people,
Right.
Since I was 5, 6, 7 years old, as long back as I could remember, because I could feel their pain. And when people come to me with pain, I would go, "You're hurting over here, huh?" Because I could feel it. I know. So going to med school was the only path. As a good Jewish boy, we didn't know about naturopaths and osteopathy and all the rest. You went and you became a doctor, so that's what I did. And then I came down with fibromyalgia after a nasty viral infection.
Okay.
Which knocked me out of medical school and left me homeless sleeping in parks. And that's where I learned, probably more than I did in med school, about
I can imagine
what's really going on in illness and in healing. So this is the last 50 years that I've been in medicine. My focus has been on working on using the whole toolkit. What we use in medicine is it's like you have a whole toolkit. All of these are cheap, but there's one tool, a hammer, that you get paid a lot every time you whack somebody with a hammer. And it's as if the system is suppressing all the other tools except the hammer and the saw, the scalpel. And it was an eye-opener to me. I'm a science geek, and my nickname in the med school was the Phantom, because 2, 3, 4 in the morning, I'd be going through the stacks, in the library, the research journal stacks, going through them. And, I had my routine. I looked at a journal from 100 years ago, 50, 20 years ago, and today. And I just get perspective, which blew my mind, because what I saw is that come a certain point when the pharmaceutical industry was on the rise, all the research on biophysics stopped. Maybe coincidence,
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, maybe.
uh, but
Maybe.
Mhm.
it just kind of, you know, so I'm a science geek, and I know that God loves me because the most beautiful girl in the world happened to have a thing for science geeks, and she married me.
Ah,
So
I love
That's
it.
I
great.
know I'm loved, you know.
You
So
talk like
this
a
is
DO.
I told you
You're an MD. It's blowing my mind
when
that
I was reading stuff, and yeah, I was like, it reminds me of your dad.
like
That's just made me think of
you
that.
and my dad have a lot of similarities. My
Mhm.
dad was Robert Brooksby. He was an osteopath, and he was taught very natural healing. You know,
Mhm.
the body can heal itself. And I know usually I have these conversations with DOs, not MDs. And I think it's great that you're an MD and you get it.
Mhm.
That
well,
we're
thank you.
that we
Mhm.
can the body can heal itself.
Mhm.
You
Well,
don't want to
totally.
just treat an arm. You look at the whole picture.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yes. And the thing is, it's, you have a lot of, it's a matter of if all you're learning is a propaganda, I'm sorry, continuing medical education. What am I thinking? That as a doctor, what do you learn? And an editor of the Harvard Medical Journal or New England Journal of Medicine, point blank, said, look, most medical education is slick advertising masquerading as science. It is basically pharmaceutical industry propaganda, which we make believe is evidence-based medicine and science,
Mhm.
which it isn't.
Right. She's a
It's
she's a
marketing,
she's a
Yes.
pharmacist.
pharmacist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a
so
pharmacist, so
you know.
yes, I have a vast experience in that. And meeting him and then starting to learn more about like the osteopathic world, that really helped me like expand my knowledge so I can pass that on too.
Do you know
Mhm.
Dr. Brett Thomas? Have you heard of him?
Mm-mm.
He's an osteopath out of Orlando. I think you guys would be great together. You guys
Well,
would have
Similar
and
thoughts.
anybody who looks at the research and the evidence of their own eyes is going to realize that the toolkit is much bigger than a hammer and a saw.
you're
Mhm.
right. Most people want to
And
push surgeries. So you
cha-ching.
you dealt with fibromyalgia. I'm assuming you're still dealing with fibromyalgia, correct?
Absolutely. No, I
Okay.
don't have it personally.
So I
I'm
I
healthy.
I have chronic pain from a major car accident. That's
Mhm.
how I became. That's how I got chronic pain.
Yep.
And so I can understand when you're saying, this is from a disease. Mine was totally out of the blue. So
Yep. Yep. But here's the thing. So, if when you go to the doctor and the doctor says, I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you,
Mhm.
tell them thank you for being honest and go find somebody who can.
Right.
right,
If the doctor says there's nothing that can be done for you, they're an idiot.
you're absolutely correct.
I agree.
Okay. They don't know.
Right.
There's a
So,
difference. Mhm.
and there's a difference. The first one is honest, the second is abusive
Yeah.
Mhm.
and putting a curse on somebody.
My first year with my accident, we literally saw 50 doctors in 1 year.
So many people. Yeah.
I mean, doctor after doctor after doctor, do this, do that, do that, do this. And it just was fatiguing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it exhausts you. But what I want to give folks today is an understanding. And those
Right.
listening, again, almost all pain can be effectively treated.
Right.
And what I want to do is give you kind of an overview. Plus, here's good places to get started.
Right.
Things along those lines. So, what I'd like to start with, or alluding to it before the show, there's 4 key domains that need to be addressed to fully address pain, make it go
Mhm.
away.
Okay.
It's not an Advil deficiency.
Right.
It's not a narcotic deficiency. And no, I am not against narcotics for pain. They have a place. They're
Mhm.
just overused, and
Right.
they were marketed in a way
Yep.
that was problematic.
Mhm.
But as a tool themselves, chronic pain is much more toxic than chronic narcotics when used
Mhm.
properly.
Mhm.
So, but most people, I can count on my digits after 40 years in pain management, how many people I had to put on narcotics. I mean, for thousands of people, you
Mhm.
don't. It's not a narcotic deficiency. There's 4 key areas. One is biochemistry. Pain is like the oil light on your car's dashboard, on your body's dashboard, saying that your body needs something. there are nutritional deficiencies that need to be addressed. There are, you need to balance inflammation. You need to, and the list goes on and on. You give your body what it needs. You put oil in the car, the oil light goes out. You give your body what it needs, the pain goes away. Pain is not
Right.
an outside enemy, invader. Pain is your body's way of saying something needs attention.
Right.
Number two is the biophysics. And again, the biophysics is a very powerful area in science. It's just been suppressed in the West in favor of pharmaceuticals.
So explain that for the audience, the biophysics, so they can.
Well, we in medical school we learned a lot about biochemistry, especially if there's a good medication attached to it. That's expensive. Although, really, I'm being a bit more of a cynic than I should for that. We learned a lot about biochemistry, and we learned a lot about anatomy.
Okay.
We learned about the cardiovascular system and the nervous system, and we figured anybody who doesn't know these things would be a total nitwit. How could they possibly function? Well, there's a biophysics. Whether you look at acupuncture and the meridian system, which is the biophysics as you get very close into the body. Then there are different things, the chakra systems, different energetic systems
Right.
as you move further away from the body. And these organize things.
Right.
If you take two magnets and you put them together and you have iron filings, all the things you did in grade school, you're going to see that there is a structure that the iron filings take
Right.
in response to the physics of the magnet. In response to the magnetic field, it takes shape and form.
Okay.
And there's a very good chance, well, one, I think that the biophysics, if I do an EKG, that's biophysics. If I do an EEG, if I do an MRI, that's biophysics.
Okay.
And now there's money to be made for it that we're starting to look at a little bit, but it'd blow your mind if you the research I was seeing on biophysics. And these are from studies by Guyton, who my neurologist, my textbook was named after when I was in med school. And I'm going through this JAMA, I think it was a JAMA article that he had done on what was called hysterical paralysis, which is now called multiple sclerosis, where women would often go blind in one eye. And what he found was if he took the right type of metal of the right size and he put it in specific areas, he took a number of women with paralysis, with blindness in one eye, the blindness would immediately shift to the other eye.
Why?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Why would that happen?
Well, because of part of the biophysics, we don't know.
Okay.
But that research quickly stopped. There's other research where people were regrowing amputated limbs in mammals using the electric fields. Becker's work, he was an orthopedic surgeon, a Sunni. He made the mistake of testifying against the power company, and the power company lost in a lawsuit about damages and his research all got cut.
Oh my God.
I'm not saying that's why it got cut. It just happened to get cut. And he would not talk about it. He was like, in South America with the drug cartels, they talked about silver or lead. A case goes to a drug lord gets arrested and the judge gets a letter.
You're
You
right.
can either have all your grandchildren die or you can make $100,000.
Yeah.
The silver or lead.
No, I got you.
And he basically had that experience of silver or lead. I even spoke with a man and he was terrified when this was brought up. So there's biophysics. And the biophysics, in acupuncture, for example, is a commonly more accessible way in our society. Is this one more tool? So biochemistry, biophysics, then there's structural.
Okay.
I'm sure your dad knew about doing manipulation to
Absolutely.
restore the full range of motion to a joint.
Yeah.
Because once you restored that range of motion, it was yours.
Yeah.
But if you didn't do that, you lost it. And so there's all kinds of stretching the muscles, getting the range of motion for the joints, all kinds of structural things, eliminating compression. So you need to address the structural. And then, as your dad was so familiar with, mind, body, spirit.
Yes, because we're spiritual beings having a physical experience.
Exactly so. And what, I would like to first talk about what you can do to start addressing these first three things to get pain-free, and mostly the biochemistry.
Where's yours?
But then at the end, if we have time, because it's a challenging thing, when I realized when I had been sick and homeless and crippled, and one of the last things Spirit taught me after teaching me how to get well was okay, how did that serve you?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it didn't serve me. I was a victim. My life was crushed. It was all in.
Right.
Served me brilliantly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think God sends us anything but angels and blessings. It's just hard to see when you're hanging upside down and getting whipped, you know,
Right.
or feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point in the process, when you're feeling better, I'm going to invite you to, even if it takes a couple shots of tequila or whatever, to kind of give your brain the day off a little bit and just look at, how did that serve me? How was that a blessing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, did it get me out of a toxic job and allow me to be at home taking care of my children instead of working for a bastard taking care of everybody else's? What did it do?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it took
That would
me,
be a great topic for a show.
Mm-hmm.
What
yeah,
did the accident do for you?
Mm-hmm.
how did it serve you? How
Yeah,
did it
how did
serve
it
Exactly.
me?
serve you? Mm-hmm.
For me, it helped me to help 6 million people
That's awesome.
with chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. And
Okay.
I don't think it's a coincidence that there are 6 million Jews that were killed in the concentration camps.
Oh.
And for my mom, the first time I saw her actually be happy is when I found out she had pancreatic cancer. She got the diagnosis of death sentence of pancreatic cancer.
Right.
And that was her survivor guilt for surviving the camps lifted.
Oh, wow.
And she suddenly was happy. It's a strange thing, not what we'd expect.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, being able to help 6 million people, even though I was not in the camps myself, was like first generation after, was a sort of redemption.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So the illness, my being crippled, my being homeless with the illness, um, put me in a position where I could learn how to overcome it. I could
Okay.
teach 6 million other people how to overcome it, teach the 1/3 of Americans with pain how to get pain-free. And not just was that a blessing in terms of, you know, what I was looking to create for the planet,
Mm-hmm.
but even a redemption for myself in terms of what my family went through. So it gets a little complex sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it gets really simple.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got to choke on our victimization and realize we're not victims. My mom was not a victim being in Auschwitz. This was a whole other thing. We all create our own stories perfectly
Mm-hmm.
to get the experience we're here to get. It's all a blessing at the end of the day. But getting from where you are in horrible pain
Right.
to
Mm-hmm.
getting pain free, it's a journey.
Yeah.
And I'm going to help you with one more step of that journey today.
Mhm.
That'd be
Talk about
great.
the biochemistry of pain relief.
That'd be
Mhm.
great.
Okay. So let's take a look. We talked about pain being the oil lead on the car's dashboard, saying that something needs attention. Put oil in, the oil light goes out, you take care of put an antifreeze, the overheating light may go down, different things. So
Mhm.
for different kind of pains, how do you tell what that is? The vast majority of pain, even if it's nerve pain, even if it's disc pain, even if it's trauma pain, you can be pretty certain that a big component of the injury pain from the crash is muscle pain. It's
Yes.
myofascial pain, muscle
Yes.
fascia pain. And I will tell you, most doctors accept as a vague concept of muscle pain. It's like, I don't know if you watch Game of Thrones and, you know, Jon Snow, you know nothing. You know, it's just, there's most doctors know nothing about muscle pain. They're like, well, here's a muscle relaxant. They'll throw some Flexeril at it or Robaxin or
Mhm.
whatever. But they don't really have a concept of what it is. They have no idea how to put a hand on somebody, do an examination for it. It's like,
Mhm.
maybe they're kind of tight. It's like, that's like trying to do an appendicitis by looking at somebody and
Mhm.
making the diagnosis without putting a hand on the abdomen. It's like,
Right.
you can't do that.
Right.
Mhm.
And you can start, somebody saying over the phone, I have great low abdominal pain. I push here and I do this and it hurts. You can start to make a diagnosis. You need to do an exam, which your dad
Mhm.
was probably really good at.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because he was an old school osteopath.
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the new school ones, some of them are so busy trying to be MDs, they're losing their osteopathic roots, which is a shame.
People
Instead
used
of
to come for
recognizing,
all over the world to see my dad. The farthest patient I remember came from England,
yep,
and he would come every 3 months. And I just thought that blew my mind. And it's a
yes,
tragedy that the newer osteopaths are losing that root.
it
They
Mhm.
need
really
to go
is.
back to their roots and get it back.
Mhm.
Instead of giving up the whole toolkit to say, I've got a hammer and a saw too, you've got
Mhm.
the hammer and the saw, damn it. You don't have to give up all the other tools in the toolkit,
Right.
Right.
you know? So you're adding to it. So, and many of them are.
Yeah.
So anyways, I remember I was lecturing in London, and gave a talk on fibromyalgia and CFS. And at the end, this very sweet woman comes over to me and she says, I have a 7-year-old daughter who's crippled with CFS. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm a pediatrician. I'm not a pediatrician. I can't treat her. And she just very nicely looked at me firmly in the eye and said, you are not leaving the country until you treat her. Just with a smile on her face, you know.
And did you
And
do it?
I said, well, if her pediatrician will work with me,
Mm-hmm.
I'll go ahead and do that. And then I treated her and got on. And then it was about 15 years later. This beautiful young woman comes up to me at the end of a lecture that I'm giving and says, do you know who I am? And I said, no, I'm sorry, I don't. She said, well, there's a 7-year-old girl you treated. That was her. She had graduated college with honors,
in your head?
university. She was doing great, and she was doing fine.
That's
You know,
awesome.
yeah, and this is, normal.
That's
It's
great.
just, this is what you see. So that your dad was special, the way that he was, to have people flying all over the world.
Yeah.
That's how much in need they are. So
Yeah.
let's look at the biochemistry. When muscles, here's a key concept. When muscles don't have enough energy, muscles are like a spring.
You're right.
It takes energy to stretch a spring or open a bear trap. It takes more energy to relax the muscle than to contract it. And that means when muscles don't have energy, they get locked in a shortened position. And after a couple hours or years, they hurt a lot. Okay. So you want to release the muscles, even if the pain was because of a broken bone or, neuropathy, any number of things that causes the muscles to get stuck in a shortened position in association with that system. And that will cause pain. And it's not necessarily if you have a headache, a tension headache, with pain going across your forehead and you're tender over here, you think, oh, well, this is the muscle that has low energy. No, it's muscle 2 inches below your earlobe that turns your head from side to side, refers the pain around to here and the tenderness, and then will trigger the tightness. And there's a book by Dr. Janet Travell, The Trigger Point Manual. She was the White House physician for Kennedy and Johnson. So anybody who's working in pain management, it's a 2-volume. That's a bit pricey now. It's a couple $100, but well worth it. She passed on years ago. It's when I was at her 95th birthday party, and she was like a mentor. I held her as a mentor to me. But she, if you go ahead and you can go ahead and release this muscle in countless ways, you can stretch the muscle, but to do that, you need to put energy in the muscle. Because again, muscles are like a spring. I know I'm repeating myself. If you put energy in that system, the muscles can stretch easily and stay released. So how do you put energy? Heating pad.
Okay.
We don't hear a lot about that.
No.
Because it's cheap. Again, don't go over 20 minutes because you don't want to burn yourself.
Yeah.
So, but if it has a 1 to 6 setting or something like that, I'll put it on setting 1 and you can leave it there for the night if you want. But don't do 3, 4, 5. You'll wake up with 3rd-degree burns.
I've done that before.
Yeah.
I fell asleep with it and it burnt my back, and I was like, oh man, it was like a huge one. So I've been there.
You can get a 3rd-degree burn, but if you had left it on a 1 or 2 lowest setting, you wouldn't have.
Right.
So, just little things that the doctors gotta let people know.
Yeah.
And so you do that. And once you've had the heat on for 15 minutes, now you can stretch that muscle. Now you can put it through its range of motions and get that motion back without hurting. And once you stretched it, so that's a little start. You can put energy in nutritionally. B vitamins and magnesium especially are critical for muscle energy. So a good multivitamin, most of them are not. But an excellent one is Clinical Essentials tablets. Get the tablets 2 a day. And you can get them on Amazon. I have them at nfatigue.com, but Amazon is easy to wait. Everything I talked about, all of this, I think will be on Amazon, so people can
Okay.
find it. So that will supply the B vitamins, magnesium, and a host of other nutrients critical for energy production. But B vitamins and magnesiums are the biggies.
Okay.
Those make energy in the muscles. So you want to start with these simple things. If you want muscles release, think of SHINE. We call it the SHINE protocol.
Okay.
S is sleep. You need to get your 8 hours of sleep a night. Now, those of you with fibromyalgia will say, gee, you're a nice guy, but you're an idiot. I can't sleep.
Right.
All right.
That's what the
Yeah.
fibromyalgia is about, because you tripped a circuit breaker called the hypothalamus, an almond-sized little area back of the brain that controls sleep, hormones, and temperature and autonomic function. And that sleep center is not working. So then there are many herbals, revitalizing sleep formula. There's EP120, sustained release melatonin. The medication is trazodone, 25 to 50 milligrams, not a lot. Flexeril, cyclobenzaprine, 2.5 to 5 milligrams. Gabapentin, good medication for sleep. I know all of these have issues, but all of these are much safer than Advil. And Sammy, my granddaughter's name is Sammy, so I keep looking at
Oh,
you like that. It's oh, yeah. Want to guess how many deaths a year are caused by Advil and NSAID-related medications in the United
oh,
States?
probably a lot. Probably hundreds of thousands, maybe, or close
50,000.
to 50. Okay.
50,000 deaths a year. It's one of the biggest causes of death
Yeah, because
in the
people can
country.
just buy it, so they just think it's
And
safe, you know?
And again, it's much safer than being in pain. So if you're taking it and it's helping you, use it. But I'm going to give you a bunch of other stuff you can use that's causes side benefits instead of side effects. But yeah,
Okay.
the two major meta-analyses, studies of 1 million people, about 50,000 deaths a year in the US, when you do 10 minutes of math to the numbers, ignored in the media. Guess who advertises?
That should be front and center in the media.
Well,
I can't get them to report on it because they don't want to piss off their advertisers. I don't blame them. Okay. So the SHINE, number one, got sleep. So I just gave you a couple of things. Even the Ambien, it has its addictive issues, usually at 12.5 milligrams or higher a day. And yes, you can see sleepwalking and sleep driving. But for maintaining sleep, the other things I mentioned, my book will talk about 30 things for sleep. But the Z drugs are actually reasonable for chronic pain to get people to sleep.
Z drugs.
Ambien, Zopiclone, Zolpidem, Zopiclone. It's basically Lunesta, Ambien, and Sonata.
Sometimes you have to break it down for me. I may be a doctor's son.
You mean I got to put it in English? Oh man,
but I don't know.
I followed it. I don't know.
I was just talking to pharmacists, so I lapsed. I figured, sorry, but yeah, there's medications for sleep, and instead of using a high dose of one, which will leave you hungover till 3 in the afternoon, people do better using a mix of the natural and the prescription things, using tiny doses of the prescription things, so that it's all out of the body by morning. So not 1,500 milligrams of gabapentin, 300.
Right.
Not 300 milligrams of trazodone, 25 to 50. Low doses can really make a difference. And you mix them together until you get to 8 hours sleep a night. That is critical for pain relief.
Okay.
That's when your body makes growth hormone, which heals the tissues.
Okay.
So that the pain can go away.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay. So number one, sleep. Make the time for sleep. Find the doctor, use the natural things. Again, my book talks about many, but revitalizing sleep formula and EP120 sustained release melatonin, two good simple ways to begin. Take an Epsom salts bath if it's in the middle of, cooler temperatures.
Right.
It may be a little hot when you're reading this outside to be doing a hot bath with 2 cups of Epsom salts, but Epsom salts are magnesium salts. They're a wonderful muscle relaxer. They put energy in the muscles and the muscles relax. So 2 cups of Epsom salts and a tub of hot water and just soak. And if you want to put some lavender oil to relax you, and if you want a glass of wine, really light a candle, relax, give it a very special time. That'll relax your muscles and get you ready for sleep.
Okay.
Don't go to bed for a half hour because it's sweat. Get a nice robe, read a I like romantic comedies myself, but something lighthearted for a
Mhm.
half hour, and then or watch TV, something lighthearted and ease into sleep.
Mhm.
So there's many ways to get your sleep. So the SHINE protocol,
Mhm.
major starts with pain relief. S is sleep.
Mhm.
H, hormones. Remember I mentioned that many of you have tripped a circuit breaker in the brain called the hypothalamus, controls
Mhm.
sleep and controls hormones. Many of you, if you have thought, oh my God, I'm tired, achy, I gained the average 32 and a half pounds we see in fibromyalgia, cold intolerance. I'm a poster child to low thyroid. I go to the doctor says, your thyroid's fine. Tests are fine.
Mhm.
Now, what your doctor doesn't know is what the normal range means when he says your tests are in the normal range. I'll lecture 400 or 500 doctors at a time. I love to
Mhm.
ask them this question. You know how you feel you wish the patient stayed home and they just sent you the blood test. You didn't have to listen to that. You could see if the tests are in the normal range or not, and then on to the next person. Where does
Mhm.
that normal range come from?
Yeah, that's my question. Where's the normal range?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, most doctors think that there's a group of elder doctors with big silver beards and silver hair who sit around the table and go, well, okay, well, if the test is in this range, then there's obviously no problem and the person is fine. And that's
Yep.
where the normal range comes from.
Mhm.
Eh, no such group. You will
Sure.
have group
Okay.
of people that are in the payroll of the drug companies if they have an expensive medicine like for cholesterol that will make normal ranges. And if there's an expensive medicine to treat it, then the normal range disappears and there is no such thing.
Mhm.
But for most tests, I had to look it up as a Bureau of Lab Standards, where do the normal ranges come from? It's called two standard deviations. Put in English, they take 100 people, they do the test, and the 95 in the middle are normal, defined as a normal range.
Mhm.
Okay.
So a normal range for shoe sizes
Is
would
eight and
be
a half
5 to 13.
Okay, there you go. 5 to
or
13.
5 to 13? Okay.
Mhm.
I put you in a size 6, and Robert, you go to the doctor with a size 6, and Sammy, I put you in a size 12. You go to the shoe doctor,
Mhm.
and they'll say the shoe's in the normal range. You say, I can't get my foot in the damn thing. I can't get my
Mhm.
toe in the damn thing. The doctor goes, starts to imply, test is normal. You're crazy.
Mhm.
And many of
Makes
you have
sense.
had that experience.
Oh yes,
How
very
do you
much.
tell if
I've argued with doctors and like obviously it's not normal. Something is wrong.
Mhm.
You
right?
need to run another test.
Right. Mhm.
Something is going on. It
Yep.
clearly is not.
You know the test that's needed?
What?
You give a trial of thyroid hormone and see if the person improves.
A thyroid.
Okay.
Yeah, in other words, if you came in and say, my shoe feels way too tight, size 6 is normal, but can we try a size 9 or 10 or 12 shoe? Can I try some different size shoes and see how it works? And he goes, well, they're safe, they're
Mhm.
cheap. Let's go ahead and try them on and put you in a
Mhm.
7, an 8, a 12 and go, hey, this 11 and a half feels pretty good.
Mhm.
Okay, then wear that.
Okay.
You come in
Mhm.
tired, achy, weight gain, cold intolerant. I'm going to give different types of thyroid at different dosing as long as it's kept in a safe range. The
Mhm.
TSH, I'm not the test to determine. That's the only test some doctors use. It's the worst, let me find a medical term for it. It's the worst, deadly, utter piece of crap test ever created.
Yeah.
Thyroid.
Maybe not, the TSH.
The
Mhm.
It
TH.
is horribly unreliable
Thyroid stimulating hormone.
Okay. Thyroid stimulating hormone. Okay.
because if this gland, the
Okay.
hypothalamus, that circuit breaker is not functioning to par, which it's not in many cases of chronic pain. It's been shown to be 50% down in fibromyalgia or more.
Mhm.
Um, the test is meaningless. And some doctors steer with a meaningless test only.
Mhm.
So you give the thyroid hormone and you see what fuels the best. And people find, oh, on this dose, my pain goes away. My energy goes up. It's like somebody turned a light on in my body.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
the systems are working.
Who would you have to go see for a thyroid test?
Oh, you could see your local doctor and endocrinologist. Most of them don't know, anything beyond the test being in the normal range.
Yeah,
If
that's
you
a
go to a
scary question.
holistic doctor, ifm.org, Institute for Functional Medicine.org, you'll find thousands of, or naturopathic.org for naturopathic physicians. You'll
Mhm.
find thousands of doctors around the country who will treat the person and not only the blood test.
I will definitely check that out.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Used to be the American Academy of Pain Management. It was wonderful, but they didn't take drug company advertising enough to survive. So
One thing I've noticed with being in pain management,
mhm.
they treat the pain, but they don't really want to get you off the pain medication.
Well, again, the pain medicine is not the enemy.
Right.
And in fact, a lot of people somehow think, well, I don't want to take any medicines. I don't want to take any pills. I'm somehow bad or wrong for doing that. And it's funny, I used to live, in the Chesapeake Bay, not that far from Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and there was this preacher who moved to Johnstown. Now, Johnstown was known for floods. It was in
Right.
between two, it was a valley, and these floodwaters would come through every so often, and they had their drill down. But he was new, and he came in, and um, the National Guard came in, told everybody, leave town. The floodwaters are coming. And everybody left the town except this preacher who said, God will take care of me.
Did he die?
And he said, I have total faith in God. So meanwhile, floodwaters come in. He's up on the second floor. Coast Guard comes by with a boat. Says, get in the boat. You're going to drown. He says, I have total faith in God. I'm staying here. God will protect me. Finally, he's up on the roof. This helicopter comes by and lets down the thing and says, climb on. You're going to drown. He says, no, I have total faith in God. God will protect me. And they left, and blah, blah, blah. He drowns.
Wasn't that God sending them to him?
Bingo. He goes to heaven.
They
He's
sent you
stomping.
up.
Yeah, I say, a guy's all pissed off. He says, God, you didn't save me. I had total faith in you. What do you mean? I sent you the Coast Guard. I sent you the,
Repeatedly.
NASA. I sent you a helicopter,
Yeah.
And you still didn't take it.
And if you find these medications are helping you and getting you pain-free, you get no bonus points when you go to heaven.
Right.
And say, I stayed in pain and I didn't take any of the medicines. It's like the same thing. These medicines and the natural things and the exercises and the stretchings and all these different tools, I think, are sent by spirit.
Right.
And I'm not going to insult my host by saying no.
The problem I've experienced with like narcotics, it messes with my digestion.
Not constipating.
And it messes with my mood. It makes me very paranoid and very angry.
Yep.
And it didn't really help.
And so if they're not helping and the side effects are worse than the benefit, and you're finding you need to escalate dose because you're getting tachyphylaxis, where that means is basically you're getting tolerant of the medication, so it stops working, blah, 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 all these different things. Maybe that's not the first thing that they should have reached for, but it was safer than being in pain. You could have added magnesium. They have medications that they'll give because they know all about those, because they're god-awful expensive to treat the constipation of narcotics. So they know about those, but to give a little bit of magnesium to take by mouth, well, that's quackery. That's cheap. Anyway, so again, it was not wrong to use narcotics, but they weren't working for you. And also they're addictive. So it's not how you begin.
Right.
But, with the accident, you wanted to have somebody who knows how to do a muscle exam, look for trigger points. And, depending on where the pain was, like say pain here, you look for trigger points here. Is there chest wall pain? There are topicals. There's all kinds of things that could address the muscle pain. Was there neuropathic pain? Each of these, and you address each of these piece by piece. Then you go after the biochemistry. Then you go after the structural components. Then you may find some frequency-specific microcurrent or acupuncture or things for the biochemistry. And then you realize how this accident served me to help educate so many other people and rescue them from their pain.
I think a number one, like the way it served us, is we started this podcast.
That's what
And we get so many people. Thank you for sharing your story. It really touched us. I mean, because we don't let anything, we don't keep anything off the table. We tell it as it is. So.
And most of the stuff would never make it into the mass media because it would piss off their advertisers.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I'm in the media a lot. I'm surprised they still have me in there because I keep calling them out on it. But, but they still call me all the time they'll see me day in and day out being quoted in the media, sometimes even correctly. But,
sometimes even correctly.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, but they don't want to piss off their advertisers. I don't blame them.
I understand.
So, but I don't have any advertisers. So,
No, on this program, we like to tell the factual truth, and we like to get our listeners well. They're
Yep.
tuning into us because they're in pain. I'm in pain. How can we help each other out to not be in pain?
Yep. So let me give you a couple things for those who want 2-3 quick places to start on pain management. Number one, take a good multivitamin that has at least 50 milligrams, 25 to 50 of the B vitamins, and 150 to 200 of magnesium. Again, clinical essentials, tablets, not the capsules, 2 a day. Get a supplement called Curamin, not curcumin, Curamin. It's a mix of 4 things, a highly absorbed curcumin, boswellia. Both of those are incredibly powerful for balancing inflammation. DLPA, which raises your own endorphins, and nattokinase, which breaks apart the inflammation from around the pain so these other treatments can get to it. Give it 6 weeks at 1 to 2 tablets 3 times a day, or gel caps, to start working. It takes 6 weeks. You see some effect quickly, but it works over time. If you have a localized area, you can get something called trauma plant. It's a topical comfrey, which speeds the wound healing if it's like around joints and stuff like that. Those 3 things are good general, good starting places for where to go with the pain. Feel around. If you can feel a spot and you go, that reproduces the pain, that it makes it better or worse. You have found an area, usually it's going to be muscle pain. You can see that with some nerve pain, but if it's between the long joints, you have it over here and between the long joints, it's going to be muscle. If you do a light stroke, you could be neuropathic. For those of you who have reflex sympathetic dystrophy, or they like to call it CRPS now, that's one of the worst types of pain that there is. Those who have it will have. If you go to the doctor and you are hurt in an arm or a leg, and the doctor walks in the room, and your initial reflex is to move that extremity behind your back or behind the other leg to protect it. And especially if it turns colors in terms of kind of going very pale and then red at times. I'm not talking about just the fingerships, like the Shoguns, but the extremity, especially after an injury that you have that. You want to be thinking CRPS, or reflex sympathetic dystrophy. That was one of the hardest pains. It took me about 30 years before I finally found effective treatments for that one. Every conference I go to, I'd ask the people in the audience, because the people on the stage, I'd ask them too, but they usually don't know. It's the doctors in the audience who know. And now it's effectively treated. So you have that. You can email me, and my email address is fatigue, FATIGUE, doc, DOC, @gmail.com, and ask for the CRPS information sheet, or reflex sympathetic dystrophy information sheet. Those of you with fibromyalgia or long COVID can ask for the fibromyalgia or long COVID information sheets. And they're free. I'll just send them out over to you with information. But if the CRPS is a whole other show in itself, but the information sheet will walk you through it on how to recover from that. So hormones, in women who are 45-ish or higher, who are starting to enter perimenopause. And the way that you can tell, because the blood test will not go abnormal, don't go low for estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone until you're hormone deficient for 5 to 12 years. But if around your menses, your mid-40s, around your menses, I'm not talking about PMS irritability, that's low progesterone, but if you find that your pain is worse around your menses, and your insomnia is worse, and your headaches and fatigues, that's signs of perimenopause, using bioidentical hormone replacement, not the synthetic poisons that are pushed because they're patentable and more profitable, but the bioidenticals. And you'll see how they feel with it. And that's a sign to me to start using that. In men, if their testosterone level is under 500 and they're having signs of low testosterone, normal is over 210. And normal shoe size is 5. Normal, if you're having and in women too. Professor Hilary White of Dartmouth did a study in fibromyalgia in women with normal testosterones, and gave them a little bit of testosterone, and the pain went down. Wow. 70% of
testosterone pills,
cream usually.
Yeah, it's
In
topical.
women, you can use the pills, but in men, you have to use the topical.
Okay.
And we're not talking about the bodybuilder poison. I'm not
Right.
talking about that.
Yeah.
The synthetics. I'm talking about the bioidenticals to bring the testosterone into the mid-range of normal.
Okay.
That anabolic that helps the muscles rebuild. And women are testosterone deficient just like men are.
Okay.
In fact, the study just came out again, showing that, and this one for long COVID, that it dropped the testosterone levels in long COVID. Okay, not outside the normal range. Didn't take that size 12 shoe and move it down to 4. It moved it down to 7 or 8. Oh, that's normal.
Yeah.
Or you want another example? A normal income in the United States within those 95% brackets is $8,100 a year. So if you had an income of $8,100 a year, you go to the doctor and say, I don't think I'm making enough money. The doctors say, you're in the normal range. It's not a bit of a problem. As long as it's you making the $8,100 and not me, that'll be a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're making the 81 and you have a size 6 shoe, no problem. And these are well-meaning docs. They're good people, you know? So the the normal range doesn't mean much. That's why you look at symptoms: thyroid, tired, achy, weight gain, cold intolerant, perimenopause, worse around your menses, or for men, erectile dysfunction, spare tire around the abdomen, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, pre-diabetes. These are all symptoms of low testosterone. And you give a little bit of bioidentical testosterone, and it helps the pain. The chronic pain can suppress. So again, I like the testosterone level, even in your age, to be at least 550 and preferably over 600. So
I know I asked this, but where can you get that one more time? The
well,
testosterone?
you're going to need to find holistic doctors that will use the
Okay.
bioidentical, either the pellets. Don't use the shots.
Okay.
Whether you're and don't use the street stuff that's the synthetic testosterone anabolic steroids. That's just poison.
Okay.
You can get the bioidentical, the same thing your body makes, keeping it in a steady level where your body normally would have had it before the pain hit.
Okay.
Don't start with that. Start with all this other stuff. Adrenal, the stress hormone. How do you tell if that's low? You get hangry. You get irritable and hungry. And again, if you're not sure whether you have that, I recommend those watching ask your spouse.
I don't get hangry. I can
yeah, you do.
I can literally go all day without eating.
Yeah,
But when you get hungry.
and Sammy can go hide in the closet when you start getting
When you
fussy.
get hungry, oh no.
Yeah, she has no sense not to be around you when you get that way.
Yeah, you may be
My-
okay, but when you get hungry, that is exactly how you are.
Yeah, don't comfort him. Don't hug him. He'll claw your eyes out.
Yeah.
Feed him. Just feed him.
I just let him get his food and then he calms down.
Give him the food, or encourage him. Go eat, honey. Yeah, that's low adrenal. So, I mean, you can use the prednisones and cortisones, but again, when you go with the doses used in medicine, that's very toxic. But the thing is, it's one thing when you're giving 5 to 10 milligrams of prednisone, which is toxic as an inflammation suppressant used long term. Sometimes you need it, but once you're going over 4 milligrams a day, you're going to suppress your body's own. You're going to be causing. You don't cause toxicity until you go over 5, though. You cause adrenal to go to sleep. But what do? There's a nice supplement called Adrenaplex, which has licorice, adrenal glandulars, vitamin B5, vitamin C, other things that support your body's stress hormones. You try it. If you get hangry, go online, get a bottle of Adrenaplex. Okay. Adrenaplex. 1 or 2 in the morning. Give it a week.
Okay.
You'll see his mood smooth through.
What do you think of MSM?
MSM is more for tissue healing.
Okay, I take that.
And it takes really high doses. You're looking at about 3-4 grams a day. You almost would need to, because you can't get enough tablets to really see the full effect.
Okay.
For allergies too, I used to take for my hay fever, and they have a powder you can put in, but it tastes awful. So you put it in like an ounce of water and take it like a shot.
Okay.
But it's way down on my list. It can help. For people with arthritis pain, There's a mix that has called Beam Mobile. I think it has some MSM2, glucosamine, chondroitin, as effective as Celebrex in head-on studies, but
How about
they raped the data on that and misrepresented it. So there's a whole bunch of stuff, but the MSM can help, but not high on my list.
how about grapeseed extract?
Do you have to be careful? It has to be a low molecular weight
Okay.
grapeseed extract, or it's not absorbed.
Okay.
So Terra Naturally has a GSE 400, but again, that's not high on my list of the first thing. But a lot of people find it's really helpful. I just haven't gotten the time to really look at the research on that. But again, if you're using motion that are high molecular weight, goes in one end, out the other end.
Have you heard of barley green?
No.
No, I would recommend you checking out that. My dad really stood by that. It's for natural healing. I'm going to send you.
Did he juice it or take capsules, or how do you take it?
It's powder.
It's a powder, and it takes capsules. But he used to mix it up in like grape juice and drink it, or orange juice. I'm going to send you a copy of my dad's book so you can read it. I think you'll really enjoy it. Because he talks about being a spiritual being, angels and demons, same sort of stuff you do, and I think you'd really find comfort in it.
Yeah, there's a lot there, and the world's a lot bigger.
Yes.
Than we give credit for. What I would say is I don't think there is anybody out there that's evil in that sense. I think that everybody thinks they're doing the right thing.
Right.
Even Hitler thought he was doing the right thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Putin thinks he's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't, and if you think somebody is really just kind of nasty in that way, I wouldn't go fight him. I'd just leave him be.
Yeah.
And there's times you may have no choice but to face it.
Right.
But here's the thing. If you're fighting against demons, you make them bigger.
True.
If you can just love them and laugh at them, they shrink.
Yeah.
They have no substance except what we give them.
No, I agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So if you're in your own spiritual space, you're in a heart center, you're in a space of prayer, and these, negative voices start coming in and the rest. And realize, again, we have all these inner voices that are in spirit, but it doesn't make them any wiser than what you hear on TV.
Right.
So if you're going exploring in spirit and the rest, you want to start to practice discernment. Is this voice representing and triggering love or fear? Is it bringing me together with people and making me hate people and get divisive? Is it, so what is it sponsoring? For me, I'm going to look, is it love or fear? And if it's fear, I'm going to go, no, thank you.
My dad used to always tell me fear is an illusion.
Fear is an illusion. False evidence appearing as real.
Yep.
Yes. He's right.
So before we started the show, you wanted to talk about COVID.
So for those of you with COVID, so we'll just wrap up quickly with Shine. So
yeah,
if
I think we're ready.
Yeah, but if you want to just email me for the fibromyalgia information sheet, it'll talk a bit about the Shine protocol. My book From Fatigue to Fantastic will give it
wrap up what we were talking about before.
Eye infections, post-Lyme disease. Again, the Lyme tests are crap.
Okay.
Whether they're positive or negative. There are some labs that I've seen 2-3 negative tests in 30 years. Everybody's positive, which means the test is crap. Or you can go in the standard national labs where you could have a 8-foot tall spirochete growing out of your head and it'll say that the test is negative.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't diagnose Lyme based on the testing. I will take a look at the symptoms. I will look at the pattern, and there's symptoms that are common to everything in fibromyalgia. So it doesn't mean there's Lyme's. And I will see, one, do they improve with the antibiotics? But again, that people get better with doxycycline. Rheumatoid arthritis will get better with doxycycline. Many things will, because it suppresses microglial activation, brain inflammation. The doxycycline does, whether or not they have an infection. So my book talks about antibiotics at length. and how to use them for pain. Most people don't need them. Post-viral, Epstein-Barr syndrome. Again, the test is meaningless. 95% of the healthy adult population has a positive test. Doesn't mean you have Epstein-Barr. But the book will talk about using Famivir and Celebrex, dosing, time course, using natural things to suppress, because you will see, even in COVID, the research is showing, people who get long COVID, often their Epstein-Barr or monovirus reactivates. You can treat that. So there's numerous infections. The book will go through each different one, how to tell just some symptoms if you have it, how to take care of it. And there's nutritional support. Again, do the multivitamin. We recently published a study using HRG80 red ginseng. In fact, that's the one thing I keep here on my desk. If I'm having a busy day, there's this little packaging, they come in bottles. HRG80 red ginseng. You want to get the chewable tablets. The capsules are okay, but it costs 3 times as much. Just get the chewables, 100 milligrams.
And that gives you enough energy?
Oh, you'll find my energy. I just took a half a tablet before the show, and it's like, yeah, okay, can't shut me up now. Okay, but it's a healthy energy.
Okay.
And so our study showed that in people with post-viral chronic fatigue, which is what they're talking about with that, and whether it's any of these different conditions that are fatiguing cause of pain went down, energy went up about 60% on average. And the 60% that were helped. So these are simple things that you can do. Coenzyme Q10, there's a chewable one that I'll use. That's very good. The chewables, not all of them, but some will have something that enhances absorption. Gamma cyclodextrin is natural, but it increases absorption 7-8 fold. So it brings the cost way down, brings the number of pills way down. So blah, 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 blah. And I can see how I got my college nickname, Rambling Jack. But anyway, so you have the nutritional support, and then exercise as able, even if that just means walking to the end of your sidewalk. So many of you are going to have orthostatic intolerance. It's called POTS. Remember, the circuit breaker controls sleep, hormones, and autonomic function. And so you stand up, you feel lightheaded a little bit, your pulse goes up. This is called orthostatic intolerance, POTS, NMH is a whole alphabet soup. You can email me and ask for the I get dizzy standing up information sheet or whatever, orthostatic intolerance, and I'll send you how to do home tests that'll tell you if you have it. 10 minutes, you'll know, and then how to treat it. Most doctors have no clue. They're just not trained in this because there's no expensive medications. So but there's a lot you can do for it, and it's easy to do home tests. The home tests are as reliable as the tilt table tests, but tilt table tests are $2,000 a pop. We'll do that. So anyway, sleep, hormones, infections, nutrition, exercise, H, hormones, and hypotension. So low blood pressure. And the same with long COVID. Long COVID is one of countless illnesses that trip the hypothalamic circuit breaker, especially if people are predisposed because they already have chronic pain or fibromyalgia, or people who push through when they get the infection. Instead of resting, they say, oh my God, I've got a work I got, or a Netflix show I've got to do, or whatever it happens to be. And they push through instead of resting. They tend to trip that circuit breaker. But it's like any other circuit breaker, you just turn it back on. Not rocket science. You just need to know it's there and what to do. The information sheets that I mentioned will walk you right through it. It's a 4,000 word kind of summary for both the COVID and the CFS and fibromyalgia. And for those with chronic pain, it'll give you a good start.
Okay. I would love for your assistant to send me some of this stuff.
Email me.
I will. I will.
Yeah, definitely.
And you can ask for the CRPS information sheet also. So all of this stuff you're welcome to post.
Okay.
As long as they're giving it away and not selling it, you can ignore the copyright.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah.
Very cool.
You can take my name off.
Follow us on our Instagram. It's the painful truth of living with chronic pain. I'll email you that.
Well, thank you.
Social media.
Where can people buy the book at?
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Go to Amazon. Amazon's probably the easiest way to get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if somebody wanted to book an appointment with you in your practice,
I retired after 50 years in medicine last November, so now I'm focusing on the teaching.
No, that makes sense.
Cool,
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So Is there anything else you want to add?
I was gonna say he has an app. Did you know that?
I read about the app, but I didn't actually get that there was an actual app.
I
You can look
downloaded
up
it because I
Cure.
wanted to
Yeah,
check it out.
Tell me about the
yeah.
app.
Yeah.
Well, it's called Cures, capital A dash capital Z,
Okay.
CURES, capital A dash C. It'll go through countless conditions, starting from acne through zoster. It will tell you, for those of you with nerve pain, just look up neuropathy. For those of you with nerve pain, when you email me for the information sheets, you can ask for the chapter on neuropathy
Mm-hmm.
in my Pain Free 1, 2, 3 book.
Mm-hmm.
So I can send that along to you, because nerve pain has its own things that are needed. But the app, you can look up neuropathy, you can look up muscle pain, you can look up migraines. Do you know that just taking vitamin B2, 400 milligrams a day, decreases migraine frequency by 67, 68% after 6 weeks? Most doctors don't hear about it because
How do
the
you
good studies.
There's a lot of people with chronic pain that say they're obese. How do
Yeah.
you treat obesity when
Well,
you're dealing with chronic pain?
first you have to realize that low testosterone in men or high testosterone in women will cause obesity.
Mm-hmm.
Low thyroid, the average weight gain in fibromyalgia, we did 2 studies, 32.5 pounds is the average weight gain, because the metabolism was dropping, not to mention exercise, but it's more the metabolism that's dropping. So when you treat the whole process, I don't go after the weight. Although sometimes they're, I, I, I tease that the Ritalins and the dextrins, the amphetamine stimulants,
Mm-hmm.
are overprescribed in ADHD and underprescribed in people with chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia. The dopamine raising agents in that family can help pain, but I keep it to 20 milligrams a day or less. You start to see the addictive issues when you go Adderall, Dexedrine, Ritalin over 20. Up
Mm-hmm.
to 20, I don't see a lot of addictive issues. I don't use it often, but it's just one of the hundreds of tools in the toolkit that can be helpful. And in those cases, phentermine, 37.5 milligrams a day, especially if they have low blood. I know I'm speaking, this is not anything they'd be able to do without their doctor. So I'm just,
Okay.
Yeah, this so you need a prescription for. Yeah.
and it's a controlled drug, but it can help in terms of the weight loss while helping the orthostatic intolerance,
Mm-hmm.
and it can help pain and the cognitive dysfunction. But a really important thing too I want to add, if you go to a holistic doctor, go ifm.org,
Mm-hmm.
or if your state licenses naturopaths to prescribe, naturopathic.org.
Mm-hmm.
You can find thousands of holistic practitioners who can prescribe low dose naltrexone.
Yep.
You've probably heard about that for the chronic pain.
Tried it before. Yep.
You need to give it 2 months. You can't take it if you're taking narcotics, because it won't work.
Okay.
But at a dose of 3 to usually under 5, some people go up higher a little bit, milligrams a day, you won't see anything for 2 months.
What does it do for you?
It turns off the microglial activation. There are inflammatory cells in the brain
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
that go overactive with pain or infections or trauma,
Mm-hmm.
which is why you see the shrinking of the brain tissue and that other stuff where over the years people may have cognitive dysfunction. The low dose naltrexone shuts that down. It
And what
turns
kind
it
of
off.
doctor would you see for this?
Holistic. It comes
Holistic.
from a compounding pharmacy. It's about
Yeah.
80 cents a day. Your
Dr.
insurance
Thomas
won't
Reed.
cover it. People can make their own with a 50. My book talks about, if you can't afford it
Mm-hmm.
and your insurance covers for regular, how to make your own.
Mm-hmm.
But you still need a prescription. But you won't see anything. When I first started using it about 30, 40 years ago, I gave it for a month. It didn't do anything. I went on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then I realized it takes 2 months to start working.
That's
But
good.
after the 2 months, it's often a life changer for people.
Talking with you, I feel like I possibly could have low testosterone, and I feel like I really need to get that checked out.
Well, you have, but not by a holistic.
Using the normal range,
Right.
it would put you in the lowest 2% of 80-year-olds.
Right. And I feel like there's something there for me.
But that's not going to be the first thing.
What?
That's not. But go with the other things first. It'll be, don't go for the thing that's controlled and has this whole social thing around it.
Right.
Don't use the bodybuilder stuff, please.
Right.
Your wife will hunt me down and appropriately whack me upside the head with my book rolled up.
Come beat you.
Exactly. But go to holistic doctor, and if
Mhm.
your level is under about 550 and you're having the symptoms,
Mhm.
ask them for a trial of the testosterone cream. They may talk about pellets. Don't do pellets until you try the cream. Don't do the injections. You can drive
Okay.
yourself super high for 3 days,
Mhm.
where it should be for 2, 3 days, and then menopausal or menopausal
Mhm.
with in the tank for 3 days. It's just crazy.
And this helps with energy because with me is
It can help
in the
before you
morning
do.
I'm
If
fine, but like
Yep,
in the afternoon I crash and then I have to take a
start with the adrenoplex for the
adrenal.
adrenal.
That's what I was thinking about like, getting for you.
And then but I usually try to go for a walk at I haven't since I was sick, but I'm gonna get back into it. I try to go on a 45-minute walk a night to get exercise and what I can.
Mhm.
Yeah, as long as you feel good, tired after, and better the next day, that's good for you. But
Right.
if you're feeling like you got hit by a truck the next 2 days, your body can't make energy to condition enough for
Okay.
that.
Okay.
The book will talk about that under the E for exercise section
Mhm.
of Shine.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
don't start with the testosterone. Start with the adrenoplex. Start with the red ginseng. Start with a good multivitamin.
Yes.
you know, go with these other things and the nutrients, and then see what your testosterone level was. Was it under 550? Now, again, free testosterone are more reliable, blah, 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 blah. But the book will talk about that.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
just see what your level was. Was it 900? In which case, no, that's not it. Or was
Mhm.
it 347? In which case, yeah, that's an issue.
Mhm.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
the thing is that what I give in your age group is I don't give testosterone because you're going to suppress your own testosterone, and that will also suppress your sperm count, and then you're kind of stuck with it. The
Okay.
medication clomiphene, it
Mhm.
kind of went back ordered for almost a year, but I think it's available
Yeah.
again.
Mhm.
Um, 25 to 50 milligrams every night or Monday, Wednesday, Friday stimulates your own testosterone production. That's a no-brainer. That you can go with.
Mhm.
That's benign. You look up side effects. All of those are in women taking it for infertility,
Mhm.
not in guys.
Mhm.
Guys do just fine with it, and it will bring your testosterone level right up. So see if it's available. His doctor may even prescribe that.
Mhm. Yeah.
If you go in and you go, well, there's pain specialists talking about you need to bring the levels up over 600, 700. And if it was under that, can we use some clomiphene,
Mhm.
25 milligrams 3 times a week
Mhm.
or 50 milligrams a night, and
Mhm.
recheck in 6 weeks? Because they won't mind giving that, and that you don't have that whole testosterone
Right.
stigma or toxicity.
Exactly.
Are a lot of these medicines I could talk to Dr. Thomas about
Yeah. Or Dr. Barnes.
or Dr. Barnes?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. But I
So,
couldn't tell you if it's available or not because I don't work there anymore. So I don't
Right.
know. Not sure about the back order situation.
yeah, you can just call your local pharmacy and see.
Exactly. We'll just ask. Yeah.
I have so many more questions for you. This has
Read the
been,
book.
yes. Um, this has been a very beneficial for me personally
Mm-hmm.
and you
Mm-hmm.
interview. And do you have anything else to add, or do you want to add anything else that we haven't touched on?
When you get well, if you get well, so you can go back to what made you sick in the first place, your
Mm-hmm.
body will find another way to take you right out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So as you start feeling better, use your function for things that feel good to you.
I love
Go
it.
into prayer, go into meditation, give your brain the day off, see what feels the best, not what your brain's programming says, well, to be a good boy, I should do this, I need to do this and this and this. First of all, the world's not broken. It doesn't need your fixing it.
Mm-hmm.
The world is like a video game that has challenges and game levels, and the bad guys at the end of each one, so you can hone your skills, not because the video game is broken and needs you to fix it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you can go through, and if there's challenges in the world that you want to help work on, like helping people with chronic pain or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
then you do that because it's a passion. People say, oh my God, most of the money I make ends up going to charity and to help outreach and teaching and the rest. Oh, what a sacrifice. I'm not sacrificing anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing what I love.
Right.
Right.
Me teaching. But see what it is for you. I have a lot of people who say, well, okay, I'm all better. I'm going to go teach everybody, how to get better. And I'm going to say, don't. You're just going to have a bunch of trolls that will try to drag you down.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
like Jesus said when Jesus did the healing. He said, go live your life and don't tell anybody.
Mhm.
Right.
Because the trolls out there will try to drag you down. But
Right.
there's some people who say, but I'd really love to do this. Okay, then you should do it.
Mhm.
You love doing this, do it.
Right.
But for most people, what they should be doing, and there's no shoulds about it, but my recommendation, see what feels the best to you. And I will tell you, being the CEO of a Fortune 500, corporation is not any more valuable than somebody who's just not doing any of that stuff and just is on the bus whistling and taking the person next to them who was depressed when they sat down. The guy's just whistling a little tune, and the guy, you can see the person next to them brightening up when they get off the bus. And it's like, I don't know what happened. I feel better.
Mhm.
Follow your bliss. Want to help make people happy? Be happy. You want to be happy? Realize that's not events that make you happy. You're happy because you choose to be happy. Like Lincoln said, people are about as happy as they choose to be. I have a book, 3 Steps to Happiness. It's an ebook. You can get it on Amazon. Don't get the paper, you get the ebook. It's funny. They were selling it for like $300 because it was out of print. And I said, that's crazy. So I put it out as an ebook. And it'll walk you through that. But I'll give you the simple version. Choose to be happy. Keep your attention on what feels good. It's not rocket science.
Mhm.
And you'll find you're happy.
Yeah.
Where can people find you at?
They can't.
They can't.
No, they can. I had out here. I live in Hawaii with my wife and my kitty. So, like I said, I've retired from patient care. That's why I'm teasing you with that.
I know,
I'm
but like if they
lecturing.
want to check out your app, your website,
You have a website, right?
all
Mhm.
that.
The supplements I talked about, endfatigue.com. That's right. The best supplements that I find, I carry them on there. But again, pretty much everything there you can find on Amazon and thousands of other places. So E and like Nancy, D like David, fatigue.com. For information, vitality101.com.
Okay.
It'll take you through the Shine protocol. It'll take you through kind of the initial steps. There'll be a list of most key articles on the low adrenal or taking care of the caregiver, and chronic illness and all the rest is in there also. The Cures A to Z app, thank you. It's like having my brain in your pocket,
Okay.
except it's not as messy. And the app is a free app. 60-70% of the information is in the free app. When I updated it, there's a $2 charge to get the upgrade information because that's what it cost me to program it and put it in. It's $2 one time, but 60-70% of the information is in the free app. I have 10 books now that are out. The From Fatigue, fantastic. Even though I have Pain Free 1, 2, 3, that book's about probably almost 15 years old now, and the tools change. So I would just get From Fatigue, fantastic. There's a whole thick section on pain relief, and most of the book relates to the Shine protocol. So and once you've gone all the way through that, you can go on my Facebook page. I take questions there as well.
Okay.
And I have a free newsletter. If you go to either the 2 websites at the bottom of the page as they sign up, so that comes out whenever I have something to say. Yeah.
Awesome.
Last
That'll
question.
keep people busy.
What you say you're from Hawaii? What time is it in Hawaii right now?
2:07 p.m. It's
Okay.
6 hours earlier than Eastern time, which is
Okay.
great.
Bit earlier than us.
I wake up and most of the emails and everything for the day are already in.
I'm sure.
And I just kind
Sure.
of hang out. I can go through everything and see, and then the rest of the world goes to sleep. And my wife and I and kitty just hang out. So it's good.
Very cool.
I love
And,
it.
Hawaii is awesome.
I bet.
It's like
I'm
it's
sure.
like going to heaven, but skipping the messy dying part.
Yes.
I can
And it's
imagine.
part of the United States. It's like
What island do you live on?
the Big Island.
The big one. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Eventually we'll go there. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is the plane ride, but I definitely want to get there.
Sleep.
So thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Thank you for being a guest. We really, really appreciate it. Go pick up the book on Amazon, out now. And if you have any questions, you have his email. Shoot him an email or follow him on Facebook. You have an Instagram. What's your Instagram?
I don't know,
Okay.
but
Does he have
I
an
do
Insta-
have an Instagram page.
He
It's
does.
probably something
Oh.
like Jacob Teitelbaum.
I'll be in the
I'll
show
find
notes.
it. It's fine. I'll
I'll
put
be in the show notes.
Facebook is the best place. I almost
go.
never go on the Instagram, although my social media person pops stuff on both of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
There
But
you go.
Facebook is the best place.
Okay.
Or you can put underneath posts that I have, you can put comments and things. I can't do whole cases. People send me these
Yeah.
3-page, and I can't do that. I can't treat on the internet that way. But
Right.
if there's, 3-4 sentence questions or things like that, or what do you think about this and this, I tend to get to most of those.
Okay. Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
Guys,
so much,
Yeah.
and enjoy your day.
you're very welcome. And again, you guys have a legacy that you're carrying. And, I think it's really sweet that what you're bringing is the osteopathic tradition, which really gets to the roots, and it's the whole toolkit.
Yeah.
But what you've done is you've now taken that and you've combined the pharmaceutical aspect of it, which you're bringing, and you can see what shapes our information, because you see that most medical education is slick pharmaceutical advertising masquerading as science.
Yeah.
And you'll see it in the industry. And like I say, they are loves. They hire people because they're the sweetest people in the world. They're cheerleaders. They're so personable as can be. They're no bad people. But what you start to see is that what your doctor knows is what the drug company is feeding them for information.
Right.
They're taught that this is scientific. It's a religion. And they're taught that anybody, like an osteopath, God forbid, or anybody who knows is recommending anything outside of pills and cutting slash for cash, it's a quack. Our job is to protect you from them.
Yep.
It's a whole organized religion.
Yeah.
Built around dollars.
Yes.
I agree.
It's a medical industrial complex.
Yes. So I'm going to finish with what I started with. If your doctor says they can't help you, tell them thank you for being honest and find somebody who can.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You can get pain-free. You're very welcome, guys. Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you.
Be well.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Be well.
Thanks for listening to The Painful Truth of Living with Chronic Pain with Robby and Sammi. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to the Limitless Podcast Network's own channel, Instagram, and all things social media. And we'll see you all real soon.